obviously it's the comedy festival at the moment. For anybody who lives in Melbourne, that's fairly obvious. And there was a piece that ran in The Age last week by Andrew Murfett. He's mostly known in The Age for his music criticism, but come comedy festival, everybody tends to get in on the critical act. And a couple of years ago, he wrote a review of Dave Hughes. Anyway, last week what ran was essentially a piece casting Andrew Murfett as Lester Bangs and Dave Hughes as Lou Reed in the comedy version of Let Us Now Praise Famous Death Dwarves. And it began like this. Dave Hughes wants to move on. For 3 years, he's brooded about a mildly critical review he received from The Age in April 2006. I wrote it, and now he tells me he's held a bitter grudge against me ever since. Andrew Murfett, The Age. I tried not to do my Dave Hughes impression there.
Okay, firstly, the grudge is obviously not that bitter if he can bring himself to speak to him to inform him of his bitter grudge, for a start.
It's all the money that Andrew Murfett paid Dave Hughes to agree to the interview. It sort of smoothed things over, I think.
So what does this grudge entail?
The review was, lukewarm. It wasn't particularly bad. I mean, in the review, Hughesy perceived the review to be dissing his audience and essentially calling his audience homophobes because there was something said. And I just think it's an interesting example, obviously not music criticism, but of criticism coming into the public eye. And what's happened after that's run is the Last Laugh blog, which is one of the Fairfax digital blogs coming out of The Age, has been all aflip with all these people talking about, does Hughesy have a right to reply? Are critics too harsh? Blah, blah, blah. And it just, apart from the fact that...
Of course he has a right to reply. He can go complain about it on the internet.
Like every good comedian.
Checkmate.
See, I'm not one to sort of downplay what critics do or to criticise them generally, because it would be a bit hypocritical.
Especially in our current context.
Especially so, but I do feel like this article, which I read at your behest, it just... I wouldn't have read it otherwise, but it's sort of taking far too much credit, and it's really trying to build up this really heroic role that critics play.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that people do get affected by reviews, but oh my God, you read this review I wrote and you were really upset by it, sort of faux...
In 2006.
Yeah.
I think that's also what needs to be mentioned.
This sort of faux cool response from Andrew Murfett, really he's probably over the moon that someone cared. And I would admit, if I made an artist that unhappy, I'd sort of be fairly pleased with myself, but I sort of feel like Andrew Murfett is trying to do this, not only am I pleased, but I'm a bit above it as well.
Yeah. It's an odd mix. The general consensus amongst the commenters on the blog was that the problem with reviewing comedy is, in essence, you're reviewing a real person. That a musician, puts their music out, a writer has writing, etc. Whereas a comedian is essentially themselves. You know what? And I actually think that's a load of shit.
Yeah.
But again, it's interesting. It's topical since it's the comedy festival, and it's nice to see, however hackneyed it is, criticism, being brought into the public eye in that way. But,
Speaking of comedy festival, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to do a shameless plug here. Not for myself, but for Clem. She has a final week of her excellent, awesome, amazing show, Club XX.
I'd just like to say that this is an unauthorised plug. Tim's pulling a brand power unscripted review on me here.
Well, it really does get the stains out of my whites.
Right.
But apart from that, it's just an excellent show, and Brenna Glazebrook is also fantastic in it. I saw it. I can personally vouch for it.
We both saw it, and the panel agrees. Loltastic, I think, is the word that that Clem's been feeding me. But Clem, why don't we bring you in on this? You must have had reviews for Club XX.
Yeah, we've had one.
Yeah,
and it was an interesting process, and I know a lot of people.
And did you shake your fist towards the sky?
Oh well, it used the word funny, and I sort of mused online. In the context of a comedy review, is funny the same as saying nice or lovely or it's toe tapping music? It sort of seemed, and then everybody was like, actually no, funny is what you want to be when you're a comedian. So it was an interesting exercise, and I know there were a few people who were very quick to go, oh, I'll know when the critic gets reviewed, blah blah blah, the ego. But I don't know. It strikes me as a kind of a non-story, like Tim said, this Hughesy thing.
This whole Hughesy thing speaks more to Hughesy's state of mind, which is apparently deranged if he's holding on to anything from 2006. I mean, are you still holding on to like exes from 2006? No. Move on. I don't want to be too about this, but like it seems just a little irrelevant for everyone involved.